there, welcome back to Meaningful Life Homestead. I am so happy to see your beautiful faces. Thank you so much for joining my channel. So on this episode, it is all about tomatoes. We are talking tomatoes, and as you can see here in front of me, I have got my itsy bitsy baby tomatoes of all different stages of life. Itty bitty babies knocking on heaven's door on their deathbed. How in the world did I end up here? Well, I'm going to share with you the 6 big mistakes that I made when starting my tomatoes from seed indoors. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button if you found this video interesting or entertaining. Give it a thumbs up and share it with all your friends so that they do not make these mistakes in their garden this spring. So let's get to those mistakes. Mistake number 1, starting your seeds too late. What does that mean? Anytime you start seedlings indoors, there's a particular time frame that you're aiming for. That time frame is anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date. How do I know my last frost date? And what does that mean? What that means is your last expected date that you're going to get frost in your area. How do you find that out? Well, you pull up the old interweb and you go to the Google or the Yahoo or the Bing or the whatever engine you like to use, and you're going to type in, what is the last frost date for such and such a place? And that fancy little search engine is going to tell you a specific date. That is your golden egg. You're going to take that date and you're going to subtract 6 to 8 weeks. That is when you should be starting your seedlings indoors. What did I do? Well, our last frost date was March the 27th. And like I said, mistake number 1, starting your seedlings too late. Well, guess what I did? I started on like March the 14th. They should have been started sometime around February 13th, February 14th, around Old Lovey-Dovey Day on Valentine's Day. And I did not start them until like a week before our last frost date. So before I ever put the first seed in the ground, or seed in the pot, I should say, I was already behind the 8 ball. Now, I really decided at the last minute that, it's going to be so fun to start these seedlings indoors. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm still learning, quite frankly, which is why we have all of these half-dead tomato plants right here. And that's why I'm sharing these 6 big mistakes with you so that you don't make them and you don't kill all of your tomato plants. So, mistake number 1, do not start your seedlings too late, because you're going to do what I did and you're going to get excited and you're going to push them out into the world before they are ready to go. Now, there are some variables depending on where you live, your climate, your soil temperatures, things like that. You might can start them a little earlier than that. You might can start them a little later than that. But you want to try to start them at least 6 weeks before that last frost date, because that's going to give you plenty of time to nurture your little baby plants and get them growing before you put them out into the world. Mistake number 2, not enough light. That is mistake number 2, not having enough light. When you are starting seeds indoors, they have got to have anywhere from 12 to 16 hours of direct sunlight per day. Now, that can come in a couple of different forms, either a grow light or a very, very good south-facing window. I will caution you on the south-facing window. Most people do not have adequate sunlight coming through their south-facing window. They think, I've got a window on the south side of my house. I'm going to throw all my seedlings in front of that window, and then they all splat over and die just like these. Well, the reason why is because you've got to have direct sunlight. When we say direct sunlight, if you're checking out your window and you're trying to decide if it's got what it takes to be the light supplier for your seedlings, you need to be able to see that big orange ball floating through the sky pretty much most of the day. Ideally, if you're growing in an indoor setting, you want to have some type of grow light, and make sure that you stay tuned on my channel, because I'm going to walk you through that in a very specific video about what you're looking for in your lights, what types of setups you can do, so on and so forth. So we'll get more in depth about the lights, don't worry. But that is one of the most important things. And I did not have that. I was like 2 weeks late getting my lights on my plants. They were already really leggy and they were struggling for the light. If you have grow light, then you want to have them about 2 inches above your seedlings, and you want to adjust the height of the light depending on the height of your seedlings. 3, planting into poor quality planting soil. I actually got the original. Mistake number 3, transplanting your plants into the wrong soil. No, I'm not really eating the dirt, but you know, you get the point. From the time that you plant your seedlings until the time that they develop their first set of true leaves, your plants are just fine in whatever your seed starting mix is. Now, when you go to your store and you buy seed starting containers, a lot of times it already comes with the mix inside of those containers. That is adequate from the time that you plant your seeds to the time that they grow their first true leaves. Now, true leaves, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, are going to be the second, third, and fourth sets of leaves that you see on your seedlings. The very first set of leaves that actually come up are not considered true leaves. They're actually part of the seed. That's when you know that your plants are starting to get ready to be transplanted up into larger containers. They're going to start getting those extra sets of true leaves. They're going to be anywhere from 3 to 4 inches tall, and that's the point that you want to transplant them. When you pot up your seedlings, you want to make sure that you're selecting a good general purpose or vegetable specific potting soil. You want to make sure that it is new soil and that it is fresh soil. It's nice and smooth, it's fresh, it's fluffy, it's got a nice rich color to it. My mistake, I transplanted them into very poor quality potting soil. This potting soil is used potting soil, and this does have applications. It's not totally useless, but it is not appropriate for your little baby seedlings. All the nutrients has been robbed out of it. It's been exposed to all kinds of funguses and bugs, and your little baby seedlings just don't have what it takes to grow in this particular soil. And you don't want to go out there and just take your shovel and dig up some dirt from the ground, because that's not going to be appropriate soil. It doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to be organic, it doesn't have to be fancy. But remember, these are our babies. We have to baby them, we have to nurture them and help them grow, and they have to have very, very controlled environment to do that. Mistake number 4, not fertilizing your seedlings. Now, I had no idea when I started that I needed to fertilize my seedlings. I was thinking, oh, they're babies, they're just these little babies, they're just fine. I planted them in this potting soil, which, flashback to tip number 3, was not the best potting soil in the world. I thought, they don't need anything, they're happy, they're little. Wrong. You need to fertilize your seedlings. What does that mean? You just need to get either a general purpose or vegetable specific fertilizer. Cut the strength in half. Now, don't come dumping on a full strength fertilizer onto your seedlings, because you will knock them out. They cannot handle that. You've got to cut the strength back, either a quarter strength or a half strength fertilizer. Do that about once a week from the time that they start to develop their true leaves. I did not do that. So as you can see, they suffered greatly for that. I'm going to do a completely separate video on how to troubleshoot your seedlings, how to look at them, identify a problem, and then go back to the source of the problem so that you can make correction. But you've got to fertilize them. They need that. It's just like a kid when they're growing up. They need their vegetables, they need their vitamins, they need all that good nutrition that you can possibly give them. And these babies need it too. I did not do that. And that, along with these 5 other mistakes, is why most of these plants are falling over right now. Mistake number 5, hardening off your seedlings too quickly. What is hardening off your seedlings? Hardening off, in a nutshell, hardening off is the process by which you acclimate your seedlings to the outdoor environment. And you do that by gradually exposing your seedlings to the outdoor environment. What you would do is, once they're 4 to 6 inches tall, you're gonna start placing your seedlings outside, starting at maybe an hour or 2, and you're gonna gradually increase the time. Ideally, you wanna do that over a 1 to 2 week span. The longer you can harden them off, the better. But again, that is a gradual thing. And I did not do that. I got so excited and I just threw them outside. I forgot about them a couple of days. I put them out there and I got busy inside, and I completely forgot that my little baby seedlings were out there getting scorched by the sun. And let me tell you something, they did not like that. It just did not turn out good. It was not a good thing. So, you know, if you think you can't forget a baby in the back seat, well, you can forget your plants outside. I'm just telling you, you can forget it. So, because I started my seedlings so late, they're really way too young to start hardening off. I also did it a little bit too aggressively. So take your time, do it in increments, and make sure that you're paying attention to what you're doing. Mistake number 6 that I made when starting my tomatoes from seeds indoors is overcrowding. When you transplant your seedlings into the larger containers, you really want to go in and you want to select the strongest seedling, and you want to either transplant that one up or pluck out the one that isn't growing as well. Well, I didn't do that. I thought, well, the more the merrier. We're just going to share all this space. And so what I did was I put a couple of seedlings in my containers. And really what I found was that they were battling for resources. They just did not succeed as well as they would have if I would have given them their own space and their own environment. And likewise, because I overcrowded them in their containers, that meant that I also overcrowded them under the grow lights. So they were not getting adequate light, they were competing with each other, and they were not able to utilize the resources to the best of their ability to grow into strong, healthy, viable plants. So when you pot up your plant, you go ahead and you take out the weaker plant and let your stronger seedlings take over the space, because that is what is going to do best when you transplant them out into your garden. Alright, so just to recap the 6 big mistakes that I made when starting my tomato seedlings indoors. Mistake number 1, starting too late. Mistake number 2, not having enough light. Mistake number 3, transplanting into bad soil. Mistake number 4, not fertilizing my plants. Mistake number 5, hardening off too fast, too soon, and too aggressively. And mistake number 6, overcrowding in the containers and overcrowding under the grow lights. I hope you have found this video interesting. I hope you have found it useful and entertaining. If you have, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, share it on all of your social media platforms, and don't forget to check back in for more videos on how to grow and how to not grow and how to kill your seedlings from start to finish. Thanks, guys. Y'all take care and don't be killing your plants. I'm tired. Talking on the case that makes you tired. It's hard to keep your energy up. The goats keep playing, they're distracting me. Somebody's staring at me.